Ashish is really veteran in this field. He has around 16 years of experience in finance and analytics industry, and he has worked in several companies such as Angel Broking, Motilal Oswal, and right now he's working as data strategist at Principal Finance Group, which is a Fortune 500 company, which is one of the oldest insurance firm based out of US, and right now a global investment management leader. So that's what he's working as a data strategist. Before that, he has actually started two startups also in the field of analytics and data science. And before that, he was chief data officer at Motilal Oswal. And before that, he was working in Angel Broking. And he has done his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, 2006-2008 batch. And before that, he's done his engineering from NIT Kurukshetra in 99-2003. So Ashish has been, mentoring us as a and a lot of students. And I welcome Ashish to you, and I'm very thankful for you to really agree to help us, to all of us, and help all of us to understand the field and career of data science in general, a broader umbrella of finance industry. So thank you very much, Ashish, and we can start the discussion now. Thank you very much.
Sure, Alok. Thank you very much. Thanks for the kind introduction. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. Today, we are going to discuss about various career options in the field of financial services. That's the topic we have identified for today. Uh, I'll take you through the presentation which I have made, but this is a very a basic presentation which you can find anywhere. The basic idea is to give you understanding about what kind of possibilities are there, what I have seen over the years, what I have learned from my mentors and seniors in the past, and what are the possibilities in this field for you guys to take it up or not. So I'll find this session to be successful if you are able to decide after this session that if this data science is the right opportunity, right career for you or not. If you are able to take away at least that as a thought, and if yes, then what are the steps which you need to take over the next course of next 1 year 2 year, so that you can take this career forward actually. So not taking much more time further on this, so let me present my screen and we'll go through the presentation. Can someone give me a thumbs up if it is visible?
We can see. We can.
Thanks. So as Alok already mentioned, this is my around more than 15 years of experience. More than that, around 13 years in data analytics specifically after my MBA. So after my MBA, I have been into data all the time since I started my work with Angel Broking around 6 years, Motilal Oswal another 2 years, and then a startup which didn't work out, and then currently with Principal Mutual Fund for last close to 4 years now. Here we are in Principal as a group is into multiple financial services activities, but in India it is primarily into mutual fund, and we rank around 2024 in the industry, and right now there is a news also that Principal Mutual Fund has been acquired by Sundaram Mutual Fund. So in short amount of time, SEBI approval will come up and will be part of Sundaram Mutual Fund, which is another more than 25 years old mutual fund company, and more than 60-70 years old company in Sundaram as a part of the Sundaram Finance Group. So we'll be part of that group in few months from now. Looking forward to that. So and Sundaram is a bit larger company, more than 5 times of Principal Mutual Fund. But yes, looking forward to that. Talking about data analytics, let me jump straight into data analytics. What kind of opportunities does exist here? So this was one of the paper from McKinsey where they talk about impact analytics, $15.4 trillion of impact analytics, as in that data analytics is going to impact industries and businesses and people to the tune of $15 trillion. This is not the profit coming out of analytics projects, or this is not the business, but it is basically how many the way we say that how many lives you are going to touch, the how many dollars are you going to touch actually in terms of your impact. So that's the kind of impact data analytics will have over the next few years. So as an opportunity, it is pretty large, but we need to identify what do we want from ourselves actually, what do we want to see. So we are going to talk about various ways how this data science career could be taken up. So I'm going to talk about responsibilities and the capabilities. Responsibilities which are going to be given to you by the company, and capabilities which you will need to take it forward, right? So here there are two tweets which you can see. So first tweet from Sebastian is talking about that I'm talking about recruitment industry in general actually. So Sebastian is talking about a job post where someone was asking for 4 years of experience in Fast API, while at that time Fast API was just 1.5 years old. So how could you have 4 years experience, right? So the kind of expectations we see from HR in the job application, job description PDFs is humongous actually, right? Those they can go to 4 or 5 pages of requirements or responsibility which the person will be, so as if whole company's burden is on that person only. And on the other side, Lean is talking about that she was talking to someone who says that he had an experience of 17 years designing websites, while at that time it was only 12 years 15 while the websites came into picture. So and she's talking about who is Tim Berners-Lee. So here we talk about the kind of expectations and what kind of picture is shown to the recruiters, right? So we need to find a balance, and we need to understand what do we have and what do someone need it actually, right? So that the gap of that need could be closed basically, right? So we'll talk about these areas of capabilities from data science perspective: programming, stats, Excel 9. These are various easy to work on tools. Database, SQL is top class. Visualization, there are many tools which we can talk about, but some of the tools, Tableau and Power BI, they are very good, very comfortable with the businesses, and taking up their requirements in a very decent manner. ML algorithms and AI. So these are the few areas of capabilities which anybody who is talking about data science, data analytics as a career would require. Someone would require programming to a higher extent and visualization to a lesser extent. Someone else might require ML algorithms to a larger extent, while Excel to a lesser extent. So the intensity of these capabilities will change, but these are the core areas which you require to be comfortable with, right? So when we talk about career options, I'm going to talk about 4 major career options. You could have business analyst, someone who might have done few years of working with in a company and understands data also, so he want to become a business analyst. Someone who is a data analyst who understands numbers, doesn't have much of experience towards the business but understands the numbers. He can talk about that, visualize them, and give analysis. So data analyst. Data engineer who takes care of that whole data pipeline, and data scientist who does that very deep dive work on the data to find those nuggets, actually those important nuggets out of the data, those things which are not easily easily available in your analysis. You can't visualize them. So those trends which can be brought by data scientists are very different. So these are the 4 capabilities I'm going to career options I'm going to talk about. There are so many other specialized roles which could be taken up depending on the maturity level of the company actually. Various companies who are starting their journey, most of them would be talking about those first 4 actually. But if the company has grown and have taken a leap of faith in various data requirements, then they can definitely talk about these further levels where they could talk about digital marketer, or AI ML engineer, or visualization expert. So visualization is part of data analyst, business analyst, but there could be a visualization expert very specifically for a particular team also, right? So these are specialized roles also, which we'll discuss in little more details as we progress. Let me talk about business analyst. who is a business analyst? Business analyst is someone who is conducting research, who is working with the business people, who is working with either the sales team or operations team or compliance, anybody, from understanding their business problems and then identifying. So for example, I'll talk about financial services companies, right? So in mutual fund companies, for example, there could be a business analyst who want to identify what kind of new product could come up actually. Well, let's say we are talking about large cap, small cap. These are various type of mutual fund schemes, right? Today company is present in 20 schemes, and let's say there are 20 more schemes which are possible. So this business analyst could be given a activity by the product team that, okay, help me understand which kind of product we should go into next. He would have to talk to various people, various teams like product team, as they are the initiator of that request. They'll talk to research team, as in to understand investment research team, to understand what kind of capabilities does exist over there. And then he'll talk to operations to understand, is there any specific kind of capabilities required for some specific products, and he will talk to sales team. So bringing all these teams understanding together, and then understanding the competitive landscape, how it is, how these schemes are taken up by various competitors across the industry, which schemes are growing, which schemes are not, and where is the gap, and what kind of gap we can fill up. So that makes the complete problem statement for this business analyst. And then he dives into the data, and then he brings out the possible solutions by giving 2-3 options and giving his understanding, giving his perspective that how and why we should be delving into this particular product or this particular product. And then it would be the final answer or final discussion. So as we say that data gives you 90% of the answers, rest 10% comes from the gut feel or that final decision making by the senior management. So that will come up from there, right? So this business analyst, one problem statement I talked about, there could be so many other business problems, right? So where the business analyst would require a lot of data, a lot of activities to understand what is happening across the company, across the market, across the micro level or macro level, economic level, national level or global level, how he want to go through. So that's why he will require these set of capabilities as in like stats. He should understand what is happening, how does he present those numbers, how does he present various what do you call that, probabilities of numbers, right? How do you explain that, okay, what kind of business possibilities are there, and how he will explain them with the help of his Excel capabilities or data visualization capabilities. So Tableau and Power BI are something. So, and these days SQL is also quite comfortable with business analysts. There are tools which can help you write basic queries, because SQL is able to handle lot of data, right? Excel is not, but SQL is able to handle a lot of data. Once you have data over there, then you can connect your visualization tools to the same actually, and you'll be able to create data on millions of records, while Excel has a limitation of 1 million records, for example, but SQL doesn't have any limitations, and Tableau or Power BI can connect to SQL and give you any dashboard, any time forecasting techniques, or you want to use a lot of stats tool on the Power BI itself. So they are available over there. So that's why these are the must to know capabilities for a business analyst, right? There are few things which he could also do, like for example Python programming, but for a business analyst, Python programming might be a little difficult to take up, but it helps in various things which are like because Python is able to because of its set of libraries, you are able to do a lot of things on Python, which otherwise Excel or SQL or visualization, so tools like Power BI, they might struggle over there, but Python has those capabilities because of its extensive library system, right? So from a business analyst perspective, we talked about various business problems and how he requires to solve them using these capabilities, right? Coming to data analyst. Now you would ask, what is the difference between a business analyst and data analyst? So data analyst is someone who is more concerned about how this data is being presented, how this data could be used to report or could be used to identify the trends and opportunity to growth, right? So these are the aspects for a data analyst. His final answer or the kind of problems he's solving are different from a business analyst problems actually, because data analyst is going to solve how this data could be used in a better manner. His focus is around that. The answers might come out to be same actually. For example, a data analyst is given that, okay, tell me the competitive landscape of mutual fund industry. So he will be working on those data points and everything, and he will identify how to present that so that the business analyst is able to make the decisions, right? So these people might be working together, business analyst and data analyst. And data analyst would require Python for sure, because he would require to work on those set of extensive data points. Data libraries will be required from Python, and stats is definitely one aspect which these people will require. Excel, NIME is another tool which is coming up these days, which automates your complete data pipeline, right? It helps you identify the sources, and then helps you. So the way we used to do, I'm sure that some of you might have done that using VBA. We can do a lot of automation in Excel. So NIME helps you do that in form of a GUI form actually, and hence you don't have to write any code, not a single line of code. NIME can help you do that. Tableau and Power BI and other tools required. Data management system using SQL. So many things are similar in data analyst and business analyst, but their core activities or their final deliverables are different, and hence some part of their the capabilities are different, and their internal customers are also different. So a business analyst might be talking to the sales head or CEO or any of the CXOs, right? But data analyst, he will be talking to the strategy team, or someone who is going to present those management reports actually. So his set of internal clientele is quite different actually. Moving on, do you want to check out any specific questions? I can take a small pause here. How am I doing in terms of time? Hello?
Sure, Ashish. I think we're good. Guys, any question till now?
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Anshuli, hi Ashish. Thanks for the session. And yeah, it will keep going on. So my question is like, I'm a software engineer, and presently I'm getting a chance to get into a data analyst. Okay, but I want to be into data scientist role, right? So probably that could be my misconception that data analyst is not a good role, and probably I should not, take up the role, but I should look for some data scientist roles. So my question is, data analyst will be a breakthrough for me, right? If I'm not wrong, to at least enter into the field.
Yes, it could be a breakthrough for you, because what happens, these are like those data scientists is termed as the sexiest job of the century and all that. So the point here is that data itself is the new oil, and we talk about that data is going to help all the organizations and everything. So being a data analyst will give you those perspectives which sometimes data scientists might not, because in the case of data analyst, you will be still working with a set of people who want to understand from data, working with them, identifying their requirements, identifying their needs. You will be able to work on that data and get a feel, okay, how this data whole data science works actually. And slowly and gradually you can make your capability set increased, right? You can work on your capability set by adding on. So for example, you take a smaller course of Python or SQL and visualization tools and things like that, and become a data analyst, and then you keep adding to yourself, right? Do that 80-20 kind of activity, that 80% of your time is going into your data analyst activities, and 20% of your time outside your maybe outside of your office work, but going towards your data science career, right? So you can enroll for advanced courses of Python, you can enroll for advanced courses of machine learning, so that way you can further progress. But if you are right now a software developer and want to get into data profiles, data analyst is also not a like a bad job to start with, right? It could be a breakthrough for you, because it gives you that track to work upon.
Okay, because I'm currently into TCS and have spent 2 years, so now I'm getting this role of data analyst, and I'm doing some courses of Data Quest and all, this portal actually. So I think this should help. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashish.
Sure. Alok, I'll continue.
Yeah. Guys, if there is no other question, we can continue. Okay, anyone, if you have any question, just raise your hand. I will request Ashish to answer that also. Thanks, Ashish.
Sure. No worries.
We can start, Ashish.
Sure.
Yeah.
Siddesh has raised his hand.
Yeah, go ahead, Siddesh.
Hello, good evening, sir. Sir, I'm a student in second year. I've just entered second year, and I'm doing management field, pursuing management studies. But I'm side by side doing courses related to SQL, Python, and going into Excel because I want to be a business analyst because I have the business banker background also.
Great.
But sir, it's really tough to find internships under business analyst fields or maybe companies. And so how do we do that actually? Do we actually get internships that easily in this field? So how do we apply it? Could you give any idea?
It depends actually on the companies. How do they take it up? This internship rules inside their company. Sometimes what happens that because of I'm talking from the financial services perspective, but this could be applicable on many other companies, industries as well. That because of these data secrecy issues, or because of some not having enough projects which could be completed in a small duration like 2 months or something, these internship roles are lesser in the market. But yes, sometimes what happens that you are able to identify longer internship roles which could be of 4 months or 6 months, because in that duration you are able to work on a decently large project and are able to close that project in a profitable, means mutually beneficial manner for both of you and the organization. So I understand you will have normally MBA courses are having 2 months of internship periods, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sir, the thing was, do companies like the big business analyst companies go for students who have experience? Because I don't have any much experience, but I'm doing some courses side by side. So will that help me get into the companies after 3 years, after my completion of graduation?
Yes, it will actually. It will. Why? Because during your interview processes, when you are able to, or when you even prepared your resume, you will be able to highlight those courses which you have done. I believe that these courses are something which are acceptable in the market as a decent course of decent duration, where you are able to complete a decent project as well. After the completion of the course material, you are also able to do some sort of capstone or some sort of hackathon projects. The idea is basically to not only learn but also implement the same, and that is something which a lot of industry people look forward to. A lot of companies look forward to candidates who have done those kind of projects, which are able to where they are able to demonstrate their skills basically.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Ashish, I think we can take one more question, then maybe we can continue. The question is from Astha Bhalla. Is R a good language for data science?
R was the language for all sort of statistical calculations and projects in the duration of 2000 to 2010, right? When Python started picking up after 2012 or so, since then R has been replaced in all the major organizations, many of the major organizations from a research perspective also, right? So there are scientists who are working on a lot of new algorithms in machine learning. They have also stopped using R and they have moved to Python for their further development of libraries, development of reusable codes actually. So R is something which is losing its sheen since last 10 years or so, and nowadays Python is the go-to language from data science machine learning perspective. So I'll suggest, if you have not actually worked on R till now, or you are at the juncture of choosing between R and Python, please choose Python. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Ashish. We can continue the presentation.
Yeah, sure. Now comes data engineer. Data engineer is someone who takes care of the data pipeline, who takes care of the data from, or every data tuple from the start of the journey, or the start of the time when it got generated. Let's say one transaction happened in somewhere, some website of a company. From that point till when it reaches my manager's report, from that time, since origination till that report creation, it is the responsibility of data engineer to ensure that it is captured in rightful manner, in as soon as possible, means timely manner, and without any delays, without any accuracy issues. It should be presented to the manager in terms of reports. So his responsibility is to find out ways that how this data could be presented, data could be sourced. So one of the responsibilities is also to source the data. So for example, tomorrow I identify that there is a new competitive data available from a company, and it could be helpful in our presentations. So we should be able to ensure that, okay, we are able to go to its website, download the data, make it part of our reports, and do our checks and balances, accuracy checks, etc. So that complete pipeline is the ownership of data engineer, and it is something which is growing a lot because of the data generation is increasing at a very fast pace, actually, right? So from financial services, if I talk about the kind of startups which are coming, the kind of activities we are seeing these days, means from stock market, from mutual fund companies, or insurance, new insurance companies coming up, or new type of insurances coming up. So all these data points which are getting generated, so data engineers activities are increasing on day-to-day basis. And the point here is that that data engineer is also supposed to identify how someone can use the data as soon as possible. So for example, if some data is generated in the mobile of a client, can a data engineer make such a application which can reside on the mobile, use the data there only, and show the output to the client from there only, so that data latency is not an issue, because otherwise data will start from mobile to the client server, and then processing will happen over there, and it comes back to the mobile, so that latency is gone. Data secrecy is maintained because that client's data is still there on his mobile only, and everything is happening over there only. So these kind of new technologies are coming up, and that's why data engineer is becoming more and more important these days, right? The kind of tools which they require, it requires Python primarily. I'm talking about R commands, R packages, R functions. There are a lot of R functions which can be used in the Python also, right? As a library where we can use, and so because a lot of libraries of R are still available only in R. They are not still be completely migrated to Python. While data scientists, or I'll not call it data scientists, I'll call it machine learning scientists who are working on various libraries. They are working on to identify any good library of R to be moved to Python, actually. So there are still some libraries of R which are still there exclusive to R. So we can use them in Python from by using specific libraries of which talks to R, actually, right? And then we can talk about this data engineer will require a lot of understanding about big data these days, because the kind of architecture which I was talking about, that mobile capabilities where the function is happening at the mobile level only. So these are the kind of activities which can happen using these kind of community hardware, actually, right? So distributed file system, MapReduce, these are the kind of activity technology which he'll require. And MLOps is something which is now coming up. You must have heard of DevOps. Now the same thing is now also being made part of machine learning also. So MLOps is kind of a version for DevOps for machine learning. And here we talk about continuous integration, continuous deployment, which basically makes your development cycle very small actually, or like deployment is happening all the time actually. Your data is changing all the time, your code is changing all the time. So these are the things which data engineer must know. And good to know, I have kept cloud computing and cloud architecture, but very soon this good to know will be moving towards must to know actually, because cloud is taking over all over the place. It is the go-to system for all your machine, all your platforms, all your softwares are going to cloud. So even this data engineer is supposed to learn all about cloud computing. So the three major cloud systems which we have: AWS, Google, and Azure. So you should try to identify. AWS is close to 65-70% of the industry. So the first suggestion would be to start working with AWS, some sort of certifications, and then slowly and gradually you can also understand about how Google and Azure are different from AWS, and then have a complete comfort around these cloud computing technologies, right? Moving on, last but not the least, actually it is the most sought after role, data scientist. But I'll say that data scientist is the role which takes care of the final delivery in a way, right? So all the data has been collected by the data engineer, all the data has been analyzed by data analyst, and business analyst is also ready with his set of questions and everything. So data scientist has to respond to all of them by finally giving the answers in terms of his machine learning algorithms, his some sort of natural language programming, chatbots, or he has to do on computer vision something to understand that by using the 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 video or the image quality, he's able to identify what is happening in the photo or what is happening in the video. So all these kind of possibilities are there with the data scientist, and he's supposed to design those data modeling processes actually, right? And he's supposed to create those algorithms and analyze the data. So from that perspective, he's taking care of all the activities or the all the major deliverables from data science perspective, right? The there is a reality check, right? So we all say that data scientists and data scientists, but sometimes data scientists also doesn't have all the answers, because sometimes we overcomplicate, right? We overcomplicate it by making adding those special uh, uh, cases, special algorithms, while there is no need for it, right? Just to make sure that our code, our overall model looks smarter or newer actually, or I'm doing some newer stuff actually. So you need not add deep learning or machine learning all the time, right? There might be some answers which could be simply available through your Excel or SQL or visualizations also, right? So we should be looking for answers, not only going to the final that okay, I need to develop a very good reinforcement learning algorithm which will give me the understanding about this particular picture. So no, there might be some other ways around that, right? So moving on, data scientists will require most of the other activities, other capabilities which other teams, other roles were requiring, like advanced Python, advanced stats, good idea of Tableau, Power BI, lots of regression and all sort of your machine learning algorithms like time series forecasting, market basket analysis, decision trees, random forest. So there are a lot of algorithms which keep coming. He need to keep his armor full of these latest technologies, latest algorithms, and then understanding also about how image processing could be done using neural networks, or image classification, or reinforcement learning. These are various terms which you'll come to know once you go through them, right? But the main idea is that you need to go towards them using various sources, actually various ideas around how do you understand data science as a career. Then you need to start working towards it. I'll give you one basic idea we didn't talk about aptitude. Aptitude is the something which is required by all these people, right? All these careers, all these roles. So a data analyst also requires an aptitude to understand what is finally required, how do I present it, how do I make it, right? So we need to work a lot on our aptitude to understand the business, to understand the technology, and how these business and technology can come together. Those are the areas where we should be working on a lot, right? While technology can give answer to everything, but how that answer is useful, how that answer is right, set for the problem which we were trying to solve, and is it the optimal solution, or there could be something else which is less taxing. So there is one example which we always talk about. There was a very good machine learning ML hackathon uh, set up by Netflix in the year of 2016 or 18. I don't remember exact year, but when they did that, the idea was to identify a best algorithm which can give you the next best movie which you would like to see based on your previous work which you have, previous movies you have seen, and based on various other movies which other people are looking at. Based on all this data, there was a huge hackathon which was set up by Netflix. The prize money was $10 million or $1 million, whatever it was. It was a very big amount at that time. They identified a perfect team which developed such a beautiful algorithms and everything, and it was identifying the next best movie for every user perfectly, right? And they got the prize money also, but it never went into production. Why? Because it was taking lot of lot of time to predict. Actually, when it was running and running and running, the final output will be beautiful because it is going to be the right value, but it is taking a lot of time. So we need to understand, based on our aptitude, we'll be able to identify the right solution. The right solution could be a simpler solution also, right? So let's work on those ideas also, right? Let me take you through these other positions quickly. These positions are basically various possibilities. Various possibilities as in digital marketer, who would require to work on your website footfalls, right? Who is supposed to understand Google Analytics, who is supposed to understand how Google Studio is going to help you understand your clients who are coming to your website, what is their age, what is this, that. So these kind of roles are also there. Then cloud engineering, cloud architect or cloud DevOps engineer, AI ML engineer, or CVNLP scientist. I'm using the words engineer and scientist in two different ways. Engineer is someone who is using the output or the technology which are developed by the scientists actually, right? So someone could be a ML engineer in a company, but NLP scientist could be in companies like Google or Amazon, right? So they deploy scientists because they need to identify new and new ways to set up that. But a smaller company in form of a, let's say, a financial services company in India might not require those kind of scientists. They'll do well with ML engineers, good enough actually, right? There are many companies coming up with visualization expert as a core core person who is looking forward to only developing best of the visualizations. Because as you say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, a good chart or good dashboard is worth 1,000 reports actually, right? So someone who is able to bring all the important KPIs for an organization to follow, if a visualization expert can do that, it will resolve so many of future problems which are normally faced. That okay, someone requires this data or that data. So if visualization expert is able to put all those required KPIs in properly in form of one page or dashboard, nothing like that, right? So these are various positions. These come up in various companies based on their data maturity level, right? So someone would say that my data analyst is the only person who will set up my visualization also, actually. Or someone would ask for a separate visualization. So that depends on what kind of data maturity they are at, or even the scale also matters a lot. So a larger company might have two different people. A smaller company will do away with visualization expert and ask the data analyst only to do, or business analyst to do this visualization work, right? Let me pause again because I have something important to show you after this slide. Let me understand if there are any other questions. I'll pause here.
So there are some questions in the chat. Let me read it out for you, Ashish.
Sure.
For market research analyst, what should I learn?
Market analyst.
Market research analyst.
Market research analyst. So market research analyst would require to do a lot of deep dive study on huge data sometimes, right? Because in market research you might find data which is pertaining to a complete nation. So for India, for example, if someone is trying to identify, so there are companies like AC Nielsen, for example, or there is another company, I forgot the name, but there are companies who are collecting the data for the population actually, to understand what is happening in each state, each major districts, and what kind of people are living there. So they will have humongous size of data. So you would require SQL for sure. You would require visualization tools for sure, and you might also would like to try out few things on Python as well, because market research person might have to go to various websites to capture data, and Python will help you parse that data. Python will help you write two-liner code just to download complete data from a website in an automated manner. Whenever you require it in form of it will just download the data, put it in a particular data set, and save it in form of a CSV file, done in 5 seconds, and you can build that. So basically, that's why you would require these kind of tools. So Excel is omnipresent, by the way, right? Excel is omnipresent. So I'm not going to talk about whether you require that or not. So Excel is there, SQL is there, a visualization tool, and Python, basic Python. So more or less, I'll say that data analyst, what he was doing, similar things market research analyst will be doing, but his focus would be on the outside of the organization. Here, data analyst would be on both the sides. He will be talking about internal and external also, but market research analyst is primarily outward looking, basically, right? Hope I answer the question.
Great. One more question. From where to learn Python?
So many free material is available. If you want to enroll for a certificate, you could go to some paid ones also. But even these many companies, like for example, first thing, YouTube is full of Python courses. YouTube is full of Python courses. Then Coursera is there. Then Free Code Camp is there. I have a list of 2-3 or more sources, but I'll suggest start Googling actually. Nothing else beats that actually. Python courses, paid or free, YouTube or other websites. There are humongous set of people who are putting awesome videos for and there are videos. There are people who are putting 3-4 hours of video, or they are putting 30 hours of video also, right? You can start with that 3 hour just to gain a complete understanding in a shorter cycle, right? And then move to the 30 hour to do that deep dive on various topics. And I hope you understand that in YouTube you can identify the topic which is being talked about at various points. So these video presenters are very smart these days. They'll link their video with the content actually. That okay, my topic about pandas is starting at 8:58, 8 minutes 58 seconds. So you can click on pandas and you'll directly land there, and you can just go through the 15-minute or 1 hour of video of pandas, and you're done. So try Googling, nothing else works. Or I can share some of these lists here also in this presentation, and I can share more with Alok and Surata later also.
Sure. Great. Ashish, there's a question is, how is the transition path from core finance profile to data science related profile for someone with 8 to 10 years of experience?
Core finance profile as in someone who is in the finance department or doing investment analysis. Could you be a little more specific?
Paprat, you can speak up.
Yeah. Equity research or investment banking. Great. So see, when you are doing equity research, you are already into data a lot actually, right? I won't believe that you are not a master in Excel, right? So take those ideas from Excel only, right? How do you prepare your pivots? How do you prepare your charts over there? And how do you expand that actually? You want to expand your from your Excel to SQL, your charts in Excel to Power BI. So you are just expanding your horizon actually by going towards different directions, right? So before I answer any more questions, let me take you through one one pager of how you can do all this in defined time actually. I'm talking about a 1 year course structure for data scientists, for example. I'm sorry, I'm taking it for data scientists only. The same thing could be for data analyst or business analyst or anybody else also. Just break those various items in your mind, in your calendar actually, and then start working on towards that. So probability and stats, you can find huge number of videos. There are videos from IITs, from IIScs, or from ISI Kolkata. They talk about stats a lot actually, right? Their work is towards stats. Mathematics, IIT professors have a lot of videos of mathematics online actually, and then you can find videos of mathematics specifically from data science perspective, because it is primarily around vectors and matrices and some integral and differentials basically. These are the 3-4 mathematics basic concepts. Database, SQL, programming using Python. So these are the areas you can divide it, right? Same way we can talk about data analyst. Data analyst would require more of let's say visualization. So he should increase his visualization from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, because he will not do Tableau or Power BI. He would do Tableau and Power BI, both actually. Let's do that both. So that way you can spend your 6 months or 12 months in these specific ways, right? So you have to make your own calendar. You have to identify how do you want to do it, free or paid ones. You have to identify how you want to space it out. You want to space it out over the weekends or weekdays. Weekdays may over the evening I'll spend 1 hour, 2 hour. These career transitions, I'm talking about from career transition, I'm talking about the experienced people, and for students who are already have a lot of workload in their colleges already. So they will also have a sort of extra work which they want to do, right? Because their MBA course or IIT or their engineering course requires them to do something else. I'm talking about data science, which is going to be additional work layer which they're going to add in their daily routine or weekly routine, right? So add that and define that, okay, this is the time, 5 hours per week, 15 hours per week I'm going to spend on data science. That time will define how long you will take it for completion of, let's say, these activities, and then you spread it across. My this structure is expecting that you are going to spend 7 to 8 hours per week. So just think about that. Okay, probability stats is going to take 35 to 40 hours. If you are going to spend 2 hours per day, then it reduces that time horizon from 52 weeks to 26 weeks. If it is going to be 5 hours per week, then it increases. But then you identify that, okay, what is your horizon to reach? For a first year student, 2 years is also good enough. It's okay actually. Though I'll say that finish it faster so that you are not you don't get into that kind of lethargic mode. Okay, chal raha hai, this data science is going on and all. So no, finish it fast. That way you will have a kind of a comfort around what you have achieved, right? So this is one thing I wanted to share with you. And there are lot of contents available. So Coursera is one website which has a lot of good videos available for free. You can audit the course. The idea in Coursera is that 90% of his courses are available for free if you don't ask for a certificate. Some 10-15% only are not available to you without a fee. You cannot even watch 30 minutes of video for that. But otherwise, maximum of its videos are available for free. You just need to click. There is a link towards the bottom of that course page, which will say that I want to audit this course. or just search for that audit course at Coursera for data science or machine learning or something. You'll find those. So audit this course. Coursera is awesome, right? Amazon Machine Learning University, they are putting a lot of videos on machine learning and Python and their own AWS codes around it. How these codes will run on Amazon machines, basically Amazon AWS, basically their cloud actually, right? Free code camp is there. I'll share more contents. I was not able to put all of them here, but there are a lot of contents, and YouTube is master in that. Everybody is coming to YouTube because YouTube is something which will give them a kind of a user base, right? And they can earn from there, and they can also learn from there that what is what is selling, what is kind of hitting the market better, what content is not meeting. So they do their testing over there, and then they release their bigger courses somewhere else actually, maybe. But YouTube is an awesome place you can go to for all this. Yeah.
Great, Ashish. Thank you for these wonderful slides and insights. There are a couple of more questions.
Sure.
I'll just ask them. One is, can a data analyst with some corporate experience become a financial analyst?
Financial analyst is nothing but he is crunching numbers with some idea of, or not some idea, but a decent idea of how those financial numbers talk to each other. So for example, let's talk about equity analysis. So how a P ratio versus your PAT compares to, how these two things can come together, what kind of relation I can expect over there, right? A lot of data is anyways in the financial services, right? So for a data analyst, if you are already good with data, all these possibilities are definitely open for you. You just need to understand the little bit nitty-gritties or the domain understanding of that particular part which you are getting into, but otherwise data is already on your side. You can definitely do it.
Great. Sandesh has asked, sir, can you explain EDA and hackathon?
Oh, good question. Very good question. Thank you very much. I didn't explain it earlier. Sorry, I used the lingos of this domain actually. EDA means exploratory data analysis, where you are trying to do that analysis by just looking at the data of your own actually, just by creating some charts, random charts, bar chart, stack chart, or some sort of visualizations where you are able to see the trends actually. So if it is, let's say a stock market data of some particular stock, you might want to just put it on the time horizon and see how that numbers are moving around, right? If it is sales numbers of some company, then you might want to see that, okay, how it is happening monthly, or how it is happening product wise, or this, that, or a combination of monthly and product. So the exploratory data analysis basically asks you to explore the data by doing your own analysis, not using any sort of machine learning algorithms or nothing else actually, just plain charts for your own understanding, how you can visualize and understand that. That is EDA. Hackathons is an awesome way to understand how a person is able to crack a complete problem actually. By problem, I mean that, for example, you have come up with a set of data set which talks about sales data, for example, and someone want you to identify that how's my next year sales going to be, right? So I'm taking a very simple example, but for that you will need to understand various aspects of this data, right? So hackathon will give you data related problem. It will give you the sample data. It could be a very large data, it could be a small data, and then it will give you a timeline that, okay, you have to do this activity within 1 day, 1 hour, one week. There are various hackathons which are available on kaggle.com, which are available on machinehack.com. There are multiple websites. I'll just write down in the chat window for your help. The idea is basically various companies are also coming to these platforms and they launch these hackathons. This gives them an understanding about or possible candidates for their future basically. So these hackathons are organized by, let's say, for example, a company named Hindustan Unilever comes on the on hackathon, and it gives some sort of anonymized data about its product sales across geographies, across time horizon, and across products. Now you're supposed to help them understand that what will happen in the future, or which product is selling more and which is not, and things like that in your own ways. Then this problem has to be cracked by you, understand from different perspective, and then you give a solution. And your solution, if it matches with their expectation, or they like your thought process, your solution might not be perfect, but your process towards that solution might be very good. Actually, you might have done a basic mistake somewhere in between, and hence your final solution is not perfect, but your core concepts were very strong actually. So these are the things which they look forward to, and these are the hackathons which happen across the year by various companies. Some of the websites which I talked about, Kaggle.com and machinehack.com. Machinehack.com is a new one actually, but Kaggle.com has been like a website which is meant for data sets. They have huge set of data which you could download to understand and try out your own data science problems, and then they organize these hackathons. And machinehack.com is from someone from India only. He has started this website, and it is also doing pretty good. Sorry, machine with a single I. Right. So go through this these hackathons. The idea which I was talking about in my last this one only, this capstone project or hackathon project, the idea was around that only, that you spend 2 weeks, identify a solution which is identify a new hackathon which has come up on these websites, and try out for 2 weeks. If there are multiple, you can do that, very good actually, but spend those kind of times.
Great, Ashish. Ashish, there's one more question.
Yeah.
So guys, now we will take 2 more questions after this, and please speak up or put it in the chat so that I can call that. So the question is from Rohit. He's asked, what is the outlook on MBA grads for hiring in the field of data science? Does HR consider them favorable for business analyst role? You're mute.
When did I go on mute? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
MBAs are the best candidates for business analyst, right? That is one thing. Nowadays, earlier business analysts used to do primarily Excel only. When I joined Angel Broking in 2008, my only weapon in my armory was Excel only, and I spent next 6 months doing Excel only. In Jan 2009, I started SQL actually. I learned SQL 5 days, full SQL course, and then get on with it. So the idea is MBAs are supposed to take up those business analyst roles. They are supposed to understand the business. They are supposed to understand the technology. If you are able to understand the technology, nothing like it actually. It's a killer combination in that manner. So yes, MBAs are meant to take up business analyst roles.
Great. Awesome. Any other question, guys? We can take 1 or 2 more questions if you have any. Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yeah,
so
please.
what is the future of data science and finance together? Like, can you give a more elaborate picture? Like, obviously, there is a lot of data floating in the area of finance, but what is the future outlook like for someone who's trying to get into that area?
See, data is omnipresent. Finance is loaded with huge amount of data which is in terms of transactions, data in terms of stocks, or data in terms of various portfolios for the client, or any sort of data, right? And even data which is these days coming in form of text. So when someone is applying for loan, the transcript of his discussion with the loan manager is now also saved for the future, right? So that better machine learning algorithms could be made around that to understand that what did that person X said when he was applying for the loan, and now his loan, he is defaulting on his loan. Can I make better sense out of the discussion happening at that time? So financial services industry is going to depend on a lot of data analytics in the future, not just because data is getting generated, because it is the need which is making us to capture and store more and more data. Earlier, my seniors at Angel Broking, we used to wonder about that how much TBs of data we're going to save, man. Let's delete some or purge some of the older data. So because our regulation requires us to save data up to 7 years only. After if something is beyond 7 years, let's delete that. But now, with the advent of more and more better technology around data storage, storage as a service on cloud, now nobody is worrying about those 7 years also. So because the data is something which is going to help them even in the future. So financial services industry is using it a lot, but it's not only financial services. It is everywhere. All these industries are using more and more data around them. So for example, if e-commerce, we understand that it is generating a lot of data about those clicks which are happening on its website. Someone clicked on a product and then scroll through it, and he stopped at some point, and then he left. So there might be something wrong which he identified in that particular part, and that is being analyzed now. That's fine. Nowadays, everybody is doing those kind of click stream analysis in their own ways. So someone from let's say fashion industry, or someone from I'll take example of cement industry, for example. Cement industry is also using a lot of data by understanding how that cement, when it is dry for 1 day, when it is dry for 30 days, when it is compressed at particular pressure and all, which of the combination is working best for the longer duration, right? So those kind of data is now fed into the system. Now it is not only a construction engineer who is going to tell, okay, this is the pressure and this is the combination of cement and sand going to be. No, it is now driven through data actually, because data is able to tell that this particular combination of cement and sand at this particular pressure and temperature was the best actually, and it resulted in 15-year or 30-year of or whatever duration they are able to analyze. So the way data is omnipresent, and it is able to help various organizations. So it is going to continue like that. Financial services is definitely something which is taking it with open hands, but many other industries are also opening towards it. I hope I answered you.
Right, sir. So can I have a follow-up question?
Sure.
So, sir, would the positions, what kind of positions would it be in the financial sector? Would it be same as it will be called data analysts or okay?
Data analyst, business analyst, market research analyst. These are the terms which are used. They can further try to combine or try to further evangelize new ideas around it. But the base around is that, are you going to analyze the business? Are you going to analyze the data? Are you going to take care of my data pipeline? Or are you going to give me some very deep answers by data scientists? So the thought around these profiles will remain the same. Name could be a little bit here and there depending on the organization's interest and fences, basically.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you.
Great. So I think we have already surpassed our
Yes.
time. So thank you very much, Ashish, and thank you for all of you to join. And thanks, Ashish, for enlightening us with this field and giving us not just an overview but also a kind of implementation plan, and also the sense of what is happening and what can be expected from the industry. So thank you very much, and we'll look forward to have more mentoring sessions from you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good everyone. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye.